guys, welcome back to another Sips and Trips with me, Jennifer, and I'm just waiting for Tania to join. We try to host these bi-weekly. We did miss last week, but we're back this week to talk about things that we wish we knew and lessons that we learned on our travels. So I'm just waiting for her to join. Once she joins, we'll go ahead and get started. I will introduce my beverage of the evening. Hey, Karen. It is a mocktail made with seed lip, non-alcoholic sparkling brutes, and pineapple juice. Hey, Tania. Let me go ahead and add her in. Mel! Hey, boo!
Hi, everyone.
Hey, friend!
Hey, Jen. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm about to type in the comments. Don't forget that for tonight's Sips and Trips, if you have a story that you want to share, you can join us on live. So I'm simply dropping that in the comments.
Okay. We did have a few people join the last time with some good lessons that they learned. Hi, Carnell.
I'm still here, just getting everything together for you guys. I'm excited. Have you already shared your beverage of choice?
Yes, I told them about my little mocktail for the evening. I'm actually not going to be sipping it too much because it's hurting my little bariatric tummy. The bubbles are a little too strong. So
was this a new beverage that you tried?
So the seed lip, no, I've shared that before on here, but the sparkling brute is a non-alcoholic one. I've never used it before, but I also didn't let the bottle sit open long enough for the bubbles to kind of die down.
Okay.
So it's like super, super strong. So I was like, okay, I just need to let that get a little flat for a minute.
Is it one of the beverages from the reel you posted the other day?
No, actually, this is something that I found not the sparkling brute. I actually found when I was in Ohio over the weekend.
Okay. Oh, that's amazing. Was it? So for those of you that are just not joining us, Jennifer has been on a mocktail journey lately. So for the most part, since January.
Yes, since January, I have dabbled a little tiny bit in alcohol, but for the most part, it's been mocktails, and I'm about to go back hard on mocktails again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. So usually I have a fun beverage to share as well. But like I told Jennifer, I had way too much to drink last night. So today I am drinking tea and this is actually my favorite tea. We have a Black-owned spa in Houston called Essential Body Bar, and I'll tag them in the comments. But it's a spa, but I randomly, when you go for certain procedures or whatever, they'll start you off with a cup of tea, and it's a detox tea. I love it. I don't know if it's on the website, but this is tea, and as you can see, it's a detox. I just found out, if you're based in Houston, I just found out that Gloria's, do y'all have I know it's a Gloria's in Dallas, I think, but Gloria's has $5 mimosas. And so I'll be walking to Gloria's to go get me some mimosas. And yesterday I had too many. So.
At least you're drinking tea, okay? Because earlier you was on an all water diet,
and
I'm thankful that you have elevated to tea.
Elevated the experience.
Yes. But we don't have Gloria's here.
Okay. It's a Latin restaurant. The food's okay. It's not necessarily my favorite, but the $5 mimosas are
I give for a $5 mimosa or a FOMOSA for me lately. But I am excited to talk tonight. We can finish our conversation from the other day when we were talking about lessons that we learned. And just a few minutes ago, I was thinking, oh, I remember like a really good one that I had learned. So I'm like, I can't wait for us to get started and share.
Okay. So I I see that we have quite a few people joining us. If you're new to Sips and Trips, it's simply joining Jennifer and I twice a month to talk about our travel woes, travel experiences, to talk all things travel while enjoying our favorite sips. And so last week, if you did not tune in, it's on both of our pages, Travel Spots
Mm-hmm.
Me and on Red Lips and Passports, but we kind of talked about the truth behind travel. And so we're going to pick back up with that. And if you have any stories that you want to share, definitely just request to join the live. Hey, Just Be Stewart, definitely just request to join the live and you can share some of your crazy stories. But Jennifer, y'all know, is my favorite storyteller, and I'm probably biased because she's my friend, but oh well. So I'm ready.
So, first of all, hey, Brittany. So back in 2017, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I started traveling internationally in 2016. That was the year that I went to on my first cruise to the Bahamas, but I also took a long haul journey to Australia. And so while I was in Australia, I fell in love with the idea of traveling internationally, and I booked a trip to Iceland. And it was for my birthday and my mom's birthday. And I did not know what I was doing. Wait, Tania, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Oh,
I'm just
okay,
tuning in
because I
the
can't see you.
comments. I'm here.
Okay, you in the comments. So I did not know what I was doing, right? And my mother did not know what she was doing either, right? And so there were two mistakes that I made. One, I did not let my bank know that I was traveling internationally. I also did not have there's three things. I didn't have a translator app, so I could not speak the language of Iceland. I don't remember what the language is. I also did not have a currency converter, so it's just adding a whole bunch of things that I did wrong. I didn't have a currency converter on my phone, so I could not translate. I could not convert Icelandic krona to U.S. dollars and vice versa. I didn't contact my bank, and I did not add the correct international plan on my cell phone. Right. So because I thought, I done been to Australia, honey.
I was professional.
I took I'm international, baby. I thought I knew what I was doing, and I absolutely did not know what I was doing. And it almost was a disaster because I tried to go to the bank and I tried to go to the ATM to pull out cash. Couldn't figure out how much money I was getting out. My mother was absolutely no help because at this point she only been ever on a cruise, right? That's neither here nor there. You ever be around somebody when you upset and they don't do nothing but make you even more mad? That's my mother. Okay, that's Cassandra. Okay, so my cell phone wasn't working. I couldn't figure out how to dial my bank internationally on my mother's phone because her phone was working. And nonetheless, I was trying to flag somebody down, like, hey, I need help, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, oh, you got to go. They were like, okay, go here, and then look for this man, blah, blah, blah. And so my mind is on 1,000 because one, I'm like, I ain't got no money. My card ain't working because I ain't contacted the bank. My cell phone ain't working. And this man is giving me all this information. And I was grasping some of it, but I wasn't grasping it all. And I looked at my mom and I said, okay, Mom, he said when we got to the coffee stand, which way we go? She was like, I don't know. Was you... I thought you was listening. And I was like, Ma, like, come on, young. Like, I'm from the DMV, we say young. So I'm like, come on, young. Like, what you mean? Like, you don't know what he said. So we walking around. Mind you, we got these big old giant bags, okay? Giant suitcases. Because we're overpackers at this point. And so, anyway, we ended up going to this customer service counter. They helped me get everything I needed. But it was a very valuable lesson that I learned is to have a currency converter, contact your bank. Even though now I don't think you need to contact your banks anymore. Well, because I know
Fargo just stopped making you contact them a few months ago, so I can't say that for all banks.
Okay, so I know Wells Fargo didn't make me do it. And wait a minute, I got another one. One thing that you should do, if you still have to contact your bank, tell your bank you're going to be gone longer than you really plan on being gone. Yep. Because let me tell you why. As you guys know, Tania and I met in person on a trip to the Dominican Republic, and we got stuck because of Hurricane Fiona. And one of my credit card companies, that was the main credit card that I took, that was the main credit card that I took with me. And I told them, let's say we were gone from Tuesday to Sunday. I told them I was going to be gone from Tuesday to Sunday. Well, guess what happened Sunday? The hurricane hit, right? And I couldn't use my card anymore because cell phone lines were down. I didn't have internet access, and I could not contact my bank to tell them that I'm still out of the country and I need to use my credit card. I was not able to finally use my credit card to get food. I mean, let me tell y'all how bad it was. I ordered food. The lady brought me my food and my drink, and I went to pay for it, and my card declined. And guess what happened? She took it back.
Now she took your food.
She took it back. She took the food back. And at that point, I had already been through hell. All I could do was sit there and cry because I was hungry. Yeah. I had $20 cash left in my pocket. I had to go to the Taco Bell. Y'all know I don't eat at restaurants that have commercials. I had to eat at Taco Bell, and I sat there and I cried and I ate my taco like I cannot get home fast enough. But let me tell you something. When I got to America, when I got to that Miami International Airport, when I saw that American flag, thank you, Jesus. I went to my favorite bar in that airport, and I was like, give me 7 mojitos and some plantains, please.
You should have still been drunk since they was pumping us up with liquor at the resort, treating us like we was at the fire festival.
Girl, you already know they wasn't giving us nothing but rubbing alcohol in them drinks.
So, y'all, when we got stuck during the hurricane, the resort was not prepared. And we'll say that story for another day. The resort was not prepared. And so, like, things got real ghetto. We could look over the fence and see that the resort next door to us didn't have no damage. Our damn resort falling apart. Stuff is everywhere. We're at the fence trying to use their Wi-Fi. The resort basically had delivered people's room service. They dropped off bags to us with breakfast. And my bag had a cookie, a banana. What else in bag?
Well, mine had a brownie that was this big.
And a juice box or something. It was real ghetto. But what the resort did when they opened back up the next day, it was like they called people and just said, hey, can you come to work? Can you come to work? They came to work. They set up bars in the lobby and was serving us hot dogs and hamburgers and a whole bunch of liquor. So people were just drunk. Like, we were drunk as skunks. And if you watch the Fire Festival documentary, you'll see that when they got there and the stuff was ready, they just started giving them a whole bunch of tequila and all that kind of stuff. That's how they did it.
That's exactly how they did it. You forgot to say they was face painting at an adults only resort.
Yeah,
they was painting
worst.
Faces.
Well, let me share one of my travel stories where I learned a valuable lesson. Now, one of the things Jennifer mentioned was having a currency converter. XE is the one that I prefer, but if you have a preferred currency converter, please drop it in the comments because I love travel apps, and we'll probably have an episode about that somewhere down the line, but travel apps are important. You said a currency converter, and what else did you say? A translator? Google Translator. So, go ahead. Was it
no, go ahead.
The one I'm thinking about that everybody needs to have, and other apps probably do the same thing, but I know for a fact that Google Maps does this. My first time going to Bali, we're so dependent on our cell phones. This was 2018, 2019. We are super dependent on our cell phones there, and you always assume as well that you'll have access to Wi-Fi or cellular service. I'm in Bali, and so I'm thinking, hey, we're going to go out, we're going to get these scooters, and we're just going to GPS everywhere because I have the pass that they offer through some cell phone carriers to where I pay a daily fee for service. So if I'm paying you $10 a day for service, I just assume I'm going to have service. So if I've never told y'all about my scooter fiasco again, that's a story for another day. I was cute. We were getting ready to go to the waterfalls. I got on the scooter with my little cute sandals on, my little bag threw over my purse. and I had never rode a scooter, and it took off. Not me, it took off. I was all down the street. They had to come run me down. So, long story short, the people told me I couldn't run a scooter by myself. So I had to hop on the scooter with one of the people that were with us. So fast forward, we on the scooter like, bam, it's cool. I go to put in the name of the waterfall to get to GPS us there. Nobody's phone is working. So I didn't almost die because the scooter situation. And now we rented scooters, but we don't know where we are going. So we end up having to go back to the Airbnb. Now, one thing that you'll notice when you travel, especially if you're going to tourist attractions, the goal is to get certain places by a certain time so that you can beat the crowds, be able to get good pictures, or just be able to enjoy it. We had to go back to the Airbnb where we were staying, and we almost had to MapQuest. Like, it almost was going to be one of those situations to where, like, we should have printed out some MapQuest directions, like, from back in the day. But what we had to do is we had to download the directions while we were on Google Maps and on Wi-Fi. And if you go ahead and download the directions, you can still see them even when you're off of Wi-Fi. So we wouldn't have been able to get there. And I'm glad that it happened when we were close to the Airbnb, because I don't know what would have happened, if we wouldn't have had service, because it's not like we knew where we were going, and everything looks alike. It's a whole bunch of rice fields. I don't know if I turn left, and I'm directionally impaired. So Google Maps is great for traveling, but just make sure you have an idea of where you're going before you get started, because you can't always guarantee that you're going to have cell phone service to be able to navigate the entire way there and back.
So it's a really good idea for you all to download offline versions of the maps to where your destination is, and do that before you go. Yep. It's really important for you to download these apps before you get to your destination. And another thing that Tania touched on was paying for a daily pass with your cell provider and not having service. You have to make sure. So there are some countries that will not, as soon as you land and you turn your cell phone off, it's going to say, welcome to Marrakesh. Your international travel plan does not work here, right? It's happened to me. It happened to me in Ethiopia. It happened to me in Marrakesh, and Morocco, and I can't think of where else. So you have a couple options that you can do. You can have like a portable Wi-Fi, right? Or you can buy a local SIM card. When I was in Morocco, that's what I did. I bought a local SIM card, and I just kept buying them when I ran out of data. So you want to find out from your provider in advance if the country you're visiting is going to if it's going to be covered in your plan. And then when you find that out, you can research what your options are before you get to your destination, so that there are no surprises.
And speaking of SIM cards, let me put y'all on a play that barely no one knows, and it should be talked about more. When you land in Dubai, you can actually get a free SIM card at the airport. So all you have to do is find the desk. You can get a free SIM card to use in Dubai. A lot of people travel to Dubai, so just know if you want to save, let's say that your data plan is more expensive or your phone doesn't work, sometimes airports do have options like Dubai has the free SIM card at the airport, even though your phone will work in Dubai for the most part. And something else I was thinking about I lost my train of thought. Go ahead.
I'm trying to think. I had lost mine. I had lost mine too, because I was like, I knew what I was going to say next. Lord Jesus.
Too, and I was talking about the SIM card. Go ahead.
So this has nothing to do with the SIM card, but let me tell y'all one of my favorite apps that I love, and it works offline, is the Toilet Finder. And I remember one time somebody was like, "That's wild. Where you be traveling at?" Let me tell you something. Sometimes finding a public restroom is hard. Okay, I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but I know
I have a story.
I have experienced that in several countries, and it was like, dang. It happened to me twice where I couldn't find the toilet. I almost got arrested for public urination because I couldn't find the toilet. After that, I found out about the Toilet Finder app, and I even be using it in America too, because sometimes you just need to know where the closest public restroom is going to be.
Agreed. So I know what I was thinking about saying. As we're talking about these things, like, and I'm gonna circle back to the toilet, like having an app to make sure that you can translate, and also knowing your basic statements. You know, your hello, goodbye, thank you, where can I find food, where can I find a restroom, etc., in the native language. So having these apps, because there has to be some type of preparation before you go on these trips. We can't just be
Exactly.
getting on Instagram and then like I'm going to Dubai, because we talked about making sure that you're following cultural and social norms in the places that you're going, but you also just need to have an idea of what to expect, what areas to stay out of. So as we're talking about these things, knowing if your cell phone carrier has a plan over there, making sure that your bank does not require you to tell them where you're going. These are things that you should be doing the same way that you are, I don't know, planning to turn off your security or planning to turn off your electricity or having somebody watch your house. Finding your passport. It's important to just have some type of routine, getting on the travel.gov website, seeing if there are any travel warnings that are for the area that you're traveling to, the embassy, registering if you need to, knowing where it's at. Just normalize being better prepared by using authentic sources to prepare for your trips, because that'll make your travel process a little bit more smooth, especially if you're taking long trips right now, because travel is a little different.
So I want to touch on, and I share this tip all the time about the importance of registering for the Safe Traveler Enrollment Program. You might not think that you need it until you actually do. And I never needed it before, right? And even myself, I don't always register, but when I went on that Dominican Republic trip, somehow Sweet Baby Jesus was like, girl, register. My mother knew what was happening before I did, because I registered for the Safe Traveler Enrollment Program. And you can get to that from travel.state.gov. It's the State Department's website. But it's basically, if there's anything that is happening in the country that you are visiting or in your home country that you're coming from, you'll receive notification, and so will the people that you register as your point of contact. So, for example, let's say we were all traveling to the Ukraine when the war in the Ukraine started, right? Mm-hmm. If you would have registered for on the travel.state.gov website, you would have gotten a notification that there was civil unrest, and so would your family. So when we went to the Dominican Republic, we found out that pretty much as soon as I landed, they said that they were tracking a storm.
Right.
And the United said that they were tracking a storm, but they thought that it would be fine and I would get out in time. My mother had let me know the day before, but the day before I found out my flight had been canceled, she was like, hey, they just sent an email out saying that, there's a storm coming, like, let me know if you need to get out of there early. And I'm like, oh, no, we're good. Everybody, everything is fine. But once I started getting those notifications, like, okay, the embassy is shutting down. If you need something, this is what you're going to have to do. Mm-hmm. It was really helpful, because there were, you can imagine being in a storm like that. Some people's passports might get damaged. You may struggle to find a way to get back home, et cetera, et cetera. And so this app definitely keeps you in the loop of what's going on. It tells your family what's going on. And if there was something that was happening in America as well, you would be notified. So I just always say that it's really beneficial to register on that site.
Right. And I dropped those details in the comments. As we're going, I'm making sure to drop some of the comments. But remember, if you have a travel story that you want to share, something that you've learned, the good, bad, the ugly, you can definitely hop on live and join us. If this is your first time joining us for an episode of Sips and Trips, Jennifer, Red Lips and Passports, and Tania, who's me, we talk about travel as we enjoy our favorite sips. I had way too much to drink last night, so I'm drinking tea. And Jennifer, do you want to go over your drink again?
It's almost gone, but it's a mocktail made with non-alcoholic sparkling brut, seed lip, and Dole pineapple juice.
Yep, and I saw Chastity hop in for a moment. I am Chastity Dion from Declare Marketing. Essential Body Bar is actually one of her clients, so I'm drinking tea. I got it from Essential Body Bar based in Houston. I'll drop their information in the comments as well, and it's a detox tea. because if you're just joining us, I had a little bit too much last night. So go ahead.
I'm sorry. So another thing I wanted to say is, if there are specific activities that you want to do, you should definitely research for the time period that you're going or the day that you're planning on going, because there could be some change. There could be changes. There could be restrictions on certain dates. So, for example, when I went to Marrakesh, I really, really wanted to go to the Majorelle Gardens. At that point in my life, that was the closest I was ever going to get to Yves Saint Laurent. And so I really wanted to go to I really wanted to go to I wanted to take a picture with the Yves Saint Laurent logo, right? But it was closed that day. Had I known, the gardens were open. I definitely, got to see the gardens and explore, et cetera, et cetera. But that particular part of the gardens was closed on the particular day that I was going. Had I done my research, I probably would have gone on a different day so that I could have, taken that photo. But there's certain times where like, oh no, you can't take a photo here because X, Y, and Z is closed. Oh no, it's closed during this time of the year. So you just want to, make sure that you're properly doing your research prior to going on your trips.
That happened to me in Dubai as well. We had plans to go to the Miracle Gardens, but because it was too hot, because it's too hot during the summer, the gardens were closed. And that was one of the things that we were really looking forward to. It was one of the things on our bucket list. And so we didn't get to see it. I really have a story I want to share, but it's not my story, and it's so funny. It's a bathroom story. But
tell them to join.
This is an embarrassing story. It will not be shared. But long story short, some friends and I took a trip to Paris. We could not find a public restroom by the Eiffel Tower. We were saying bathroom, and we were supposed to be saying like toilet or something like that. And
Charlotte is such a bad influence.
And long story short, because we could not find, so we were in a taxi trying to find the nearest restaurant. We're trying to go to hotels. Everywhere is closed. My friend's stomach is rumbling, okay? At this point, it is about to be problems. And when you hear certain stomach noises, oh, shit, literally and figuratively. And so every public restaurant was closed. They had some where you could pay to access them, but they were blocked off for some reason. And we finally were able to tell the taxi driver what we were trying to get out. And the taxi driver looks at my friend and hands her a roll of napkins and points like behind a dumpster. So if we had the public restroom
nasty.
But we ended up finding a hotel before it got real bad. But it was like, I've never seen that person run so fast in my life. I have never.
You should regret encouraging this, Charlotte. You should have never told her to tell the story.
But somebody else dropped it in here, like talking about COVID. That was another thing too. When you travel, especially now, and with knowing that we've lived through a pandemic and we know things can happen, it's important to register as well. Because, for instance, the place where a lot of people got stuck at during COVID was Morocco. And like I was shooting a documentary in Portland at the time, and I went to visit a dispensary in Portland. It's Black and woman-owned, called Relief. Their manager was stuck in Morocco for like months. But basically, when I went to Zanzibar, y'all see my jersey? I don't know if Adidas makes this, but they told me they did in Zanzibar. So might be her Adidas, but whatever. But when we met a couple in Morocco, we met a couple from Morocco, and they were saying the reason why so many people got stuck is because they only had like a short window, like 24 hours to leave, if they were going to leave before they shut down. Do you know how hard it is to try to get out of another country if you needed to go home? And not just that, let's say you didn't have the funds, or let's say you didn't know. You found out 2 hours before you were supposed to leave. People got stuck. And so that's another reason to register, because we all learned, that the world can shut down at any time.
At absolutely at any time. And I know that money can be tight sometimes, right? Trust me, I am trust me, I get it. However, it's really important for you to factor in additional money for incidentals, because you just never know what could happen. And just to back in December, because I'm irresponsible and my toxic trait is I be very irresponsible on flight day. I did not calculate my time correctly with getting to the airport in Las Vegas, and I missed my flight. And I had to buy a whole another flight. I had to buy another flight on a different airline for like $600, right? So it was, and I had shared before when we got stuck in the Dominican Republic, I had to buy a whole new flight. I had to pay for additional nights at the resort. I had to pay for all these different things. And I had said in my stories while I was sharing this tragedy that was happening to us, I said, once upon a time, I would have had to become a Dominican citizen, right? Because I had told y'all that story before where my paycheck ain't hit in time and I was sitting outside of my hotel looking homeless because I ain't have no money to check into my hotel because my check ain't hit at midnight. So it's really important for you to factor in having additional money just in case, because you just never know. You just never know what could happen.
And see me, I miss a flight in a minute. Like
we're not talking about you, sis, because what you got going on with the fact that you missed so many flights is totally different.
Yeah,
okay,
I really be mad at myself. Yeah, don't do that. Not this episode. If I was drinking, I might have got a little free with y'all, but I'm not. But when it comes to factoring in things like time, that's important, because not just when it comes to even like going to the airport, factoring in time with the amount of activities that you plan to do. When I used to like start planning trips for myself, we would have like, I think I told y'all in 2015, I took a trip to Europe that was 18 days through 4 countries. That was my first big trip. I don't know why the people trusted me that much. They probably shouldn't have, because back then there was like Instagram. What's their Instagram? It wasn't like this. Like it was back then pretty much you had to use Pinterest. You had to get on Pinterest. There were not a lot of travel influencers, especially not Black travel influencers. So what we did is everybody took a country. I ended up planning most of it, but everybody took a country to plan days. I missed the Vatican in Rome because we planned wrong. And that was one of the most important things for me to, that was one of the most important places for me to go. Try to only choose 1 to 2 tourist attractions beforehand and know the proximity to where they are. And one of my favorite things to do to knock out a lot of things in one time, I love hop on, hop off buses. I absolutely love them. When I'm visiting a city I've never been to, and it's a city with a lot of like attractions or things to see, I'll get on that hop on, hop off bus instead of like Ubering to each location, and I'll knock out all the things that I want to see in one walk. The only place where I don't recommend the hop on, hop off bus is in Dubai. Dubai is a really new city. And so you're really looking at stuff that's not that old. I felt like it wasn't worth the money, but I love a good hop on, hop off bus.
Yeah, that's a good way for you to see all the things and then do it at your leisure.
Yep. And save money. Mm-hmm. You really can save good money by doing the hop on, hop off bus. And
yeah, definitely.
It's just fun being on a double decker bus. Like when we went to Cape Town, did you do the hop on, hop off bus in Cape Town?
I did not.
It took us around Table Mountain, and being on that second level of the bus, it was just a nice view. Like I really enjoyed it. Don't forget, you guys, that y'all can join us. You can join us if you have a travel story that you want to share. It could be about traveling with other people, but it's travel lessons that you have learned over the course of traveling. We've talked about some apps for you to get. We've talked about making sure that you register for, what's the name of the program, Jennifer?
The Safe Traveler Enrollment Program, aka STEP. It's called a ho-ho. I like that. I never knew it was called a ho-ho. I was today years old when I learned that. Ho-ho, hop on, hop off. Okay. So I did do it in Amsterdam. I did the bus and the boat in Amsterdam, and that was a really That was a really good time. Another lesson is to make sure you are reading the fine print. If you are booking on like excursion apps, I always book on Viator.
Yeah.
Make sure you read the fine print. And the reason why I say that is because this year I made a huge mistake, an expensive huge mistake with not reading properly. And then last year I almost made a mistake. So last year I went to Panama for my birthday, and one of the things that I did was the San Blas Island tour, and it was hands down one of the best experiences I've ever had. But you had to get up, and I think the bus driver came to pick us up. It wasn't even a bus driver. Whoops. It was somebody's Suzuki truck. He came and got us at 4 in the morning, and we were in that truck with other people. But that's a story for another day. I almost left my passport and my cash. Right before I walked out of the room, I was like, oh, let me look to make sure I have everything I need. And I looked at the fine print, and it was like, you need your passport and you need $20 cash. And I was like, oh, snap. I almost left both, right? I had a copy of my passport because I always have a copy, but I didn't have my passport. Come to find out, we needed our passport because we were no longer going to be in Panama. We were going to be in indigenous territory, and you had to show your passport to get through the indigenous territory, and you had to pay to get through as well, right? So it was really important. Had I not read the fine print, I would have missed that. This year, I made a very expensive mistake. I was really excited to go to Bimini earlier this year. I went to Miami. We were going to take a day trip to Bimini. It's one of the islands in the Bahamas. And I did not read that we had to have a negative COVID test. And I think that trip cost me $600. Yep. And so I lost out on that money because I never read that we were supposed to take the COVID test 24 hours before we boarded the ship.
Well, I have one for you. Speaking of not reading the fine print on Viator, with Viator, when I went to Italy in Florence, I think it was in Florence, we signed up for a winery tour at a vineyard. So we're all excited, and we go to meet the tour guide. So we go to meet the tour guide, and they're like, yeah, it's on top of a hill, and it's really beautiful. But when she showed up, she had on workout clothes. So at this point, I'm confused because I'm like, I'm cute. I got on this little backless shirt, some little jeans, some Converse. She's like, yeah, it's right up there. And I'm looking around like, how we going to get there? It was a walking tour, and it was the walk of death. We walked about 4 miles up a hill. She's pointing out architecture. We're trying not to die. Nobody was in shape. We get to the top. We drank that damn wine like water because we were so dehydrated. And then we said, we're not going to walk back down. We're going to catch an Uber. Do you know she asked us, could she ride?
See, it's the audacity for me.
And so when we disputed the tour and said, because when I went back and looked, I was like, wait a minute. It said it was a moderate workout. And so it wasn't, but it ended up being strenuous. When we explained it and showed them pictures, she wouldn't give us our money back. She said basically that we had a good time and just wanted our money back, and we didn't get our money back. Y'all, I was thinking I find pictures of this walk. The winery was up a hill, and it was a winding road. I really wanted to tighten up. I wanted to put my hands on her. And she was so happy, and she got on full jogging clothes. She got on some little Nike tights, little dry fit outfit. That. And so
I would have been no good.
As well, I want to share this tip before I forget about Amsterdam. Amsterdam is pretty small, so if you don't do the hop on, hop off bus, another fun way to see the city, get your guide, has a walking tour. Funny, but you actually catch the train and stuff. It's a self-guided tour. So basically you get a map, and the map has commentary. And so it's kind of like being on the hop on, hop off bus, but you're doing it yourself. And so you can listen when you get to each stop because you'll be connected to the app and you're just going. And their train system is real easy. And the weather was beautiful when I went, so I enjoyed that, just kind of being able to do a self-guided walking tour. But that's on Get Your Guide. I used to always use Viator, but now I switch between Viator and Get Your Guide, and they both have apps in order for you to book excursions, and they're pretty reputable. And they also have plans like you can pay when you get there, pay later, pay a low deposit. So if you're looking for reputable companies, usually, except for that walking tour in Florence, yeah.
I actually like Get Your Guide too, because Get Your Guide allows you to book very, very, very last minute. On Viator, there's like a certain cutoff, but I remember I booked a boat ride like 30 minutes before the boat took off, and Get Your Guide allowed me to do it. So somebody said they wanted to hear the Sandblast Island tour story real quick. I'm gonna tell y'all the story. So we booked the tour, the Sandblast Island tour, in Panama. We booked it through the Viator app. What it was it was an all-day excursion. I think it was 14 hours long, and we went to 3 different islands. You took a tour of 3 different islands, right? So for me personally, I have done these 14-hour excursions before. I did one in Key West. It was amazing. This bus came and picked us up from our hotel in Miami, and they took us to Key West. We had a time. So when we signed up for this one, we assumed that a bus was coming to pick us up. So we get outside the hotel. It's 5 a.m. It's still dark. And it is not a bus. It is this man's Suzuki truck. And when we get to the truck, it's 2 people in the truck already. So it was 4 of us, and it was 2 people that was already in the truck, right? So we all right, it's 2 people and the driver. So we was, kind of nervous, all right, who are these 2 women? So we get in the car and we start driving, and the guy pulls over, and I'm like, okay, he about to pull over so we can get on the bus, right? Because we're not about to take this little Suzuki truck, are we? And sure enough, we were. But we were nervous because we were okay, the man didn't speak good English, right? So he did not he just was like, your name such and such, your name such and such. I'm your driver. So we okay. So me and the girl that's sitting in the back with me, she got a bottle of Smirnoff, right? So we if he tried anything, we're going to bust him in the head with this bottle, right? I had already texted my mama and let her know, this tag number, this the kind of car we in, this will be supposed to be going. So we ended up pulling up to this gas station. We was in the car for a couple hours, and we pull up to this gas station. We pull up to this gas station. He's all right, get out, get breakfast, right? But then we start seeing all these other cars coming up too, right? We realize we're all headed on this tour together, right? So we go and we get breakfast, we get coolers, we get liquor, all kinds of stuff, and then we still have some hours before we actually get to the islands, right? So you get to the islands, and by this time, of course, you have to pee, but you got to pay 25 cents to pee. Yeah. We had to pay 25 cents. You had to pay 25 cents to use the bathroom, and I believe you had to also pay for the toilet paper. And there was no sink; it was only hand sanitizer. So anyway, the journey up there is no electricity, so there's no street lights, there's no paved roads, so you literally are bumping around, right? If this is the car, this is the ledge. Right? So you driving down the mountain, one false move, you're going to flip over the side of the mountain, right? He getting out the car, showing us toucans. At one point, he pulled his friend over that he seen on the street, and his friend was like, y'all want to pet my pig? The man put the pig in the car. I have to show y'all the picture of me holding the pig, because he done let us hold, he done pulled over so we can touch his friend's pig. And so what we ended up learning was the reason why we had to get up at 5 a.m. is because we have to have enough time to get the tour done before it gets dark. If it got dark, we were never getting out of there, right? Because because it's too dangerous to drive on those roads. Because remember, I told you we in indigenous territory at that point, right? So it was I don't want to say primitive, but there was not a lot that was there, right? So it was very, very dark. And so it was just a very, very interesting experience. We saw some of the most beautiful waterfalls. But when I tell you we was holding on to the rails in the car for our lives, because one person got a flat tire. One of the trucks that was on the way out there on the tour with us got a flat tire. Who do AAA come out there? What do you do if you get a flat tire in the middle of You now a citizen of the indigenous territory, I guess,
You
because
live
I don't know
there
how
now.
they got back.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So, but it was an amazing experience. Touring all three islands. It was something to do on each island. It wasn't like an island where there were like people living or anything like that, but it was just amazing eating the food, playing in the blue water. We saw a shipwreck. It was a really cool experience. So I highly recommend it. But just know that when he pulled up in his Ford Explorer, it's not a scam. That's really where you're supposed to be at.
So we had an interesting experience. Wait, did you book that one on Viator or
I did.
Guide? Mm-hmm. Okay, on Viator Travel. We dropped both of those in it. So we went to Cartagena. I probably tore that up. In Colombia. And one of the things that, people were doing at that time was the mud volcano. So, we booked a tour to go to the mud volcano. We're in this van, and it's a little bit far out. You have to drive like through some of the local territories. We're driving, and all of a sudden, local kids come out with a rope. So imagine you're driving. The road is kind of like it's a narrow road. Kids on each side of the street with a rope. They would basically stretch the rope out, and so which makes the car slow down in order for you to have to throw money out. And so our driver, for the first two he hit, he would throw the money out the window. But like the third and fourth one, I guess he said, forget this. And he just started like swerving, and the kids would drop the rope and kind of fall down and run off. But I was like, what do you do like if you're a tourist, like, and you get a rental car? That's why I don't get no rental car anywhere I go, because you don't know what you're going to run into. And these kids throw that rope out and you don't know what you're supposed to do. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to just take some kids with me, I guess, down the street.
One of my girlfriends told me that she went to Jordan and she rented a car and they were driving, and the police were in the middle of the street, like flagging people down, right? So she was like, okay, they can't be flagging me down, like I'm not speeding. So she drove some more, and they in the middle of the street again. And she's like, okay. So she rolled the window down, and he was like, hi, do you need help with anything? And she was like, no. But it was just so strange. Like, what? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I see the Chiba bus. We had almost the same thing happen to us. Our bus didn't come to the pickup spot. And so we ended up having to catch our bus the next day instead of, and that threw our itinerary off. So you guys, don't forget that tonight you can join us. If you have any stories that you want to tell about travel, we like authentic travel experiences over here, and we have about 10 minutes left tonight. If you want to join us, or y'all gonna have to keep on listening to me and Jennifer's stories all day, because they're good too.
I will say, when I took a day trip to Tijuana early this year, and I was so nervous. One, because people had said we shouldn't travel to Tijuana, right? Even though the State Department website said it was fine. Someone the night before we were going said, so-and-so told me that you shouldn't go. And I was like, oh shoot, I'm nervous. So anyway, we had booked the tour, and our tour guide had messaged me on WhatsApp and was like, hey, as soon as you get through customs, I'll be right there waiting for you. And she wasn't. And she wasn't responding to my messages. And so, of course, we got scared, like, all right, well, we can either walk back to San Diego, or we can, try to thug this out on our own, right? So I go to this little corner store to get something to drink, and the lady messaged and was like, oh, go to the corner store and sit right there. I'm stuck in traffic, and I'll be right there. But boy, we were nervous because it was just me and my cousin. And then we realized that we were sitting there waiting with the other people from I think it was like 6 of us that were on the trip, that were on the excursion, but we were sitting there waiting with those people too. But it was so nerve wracking, because it was like, dang man, they said we shouldn't go, and she ain't answering the phone. Like, I'm in Tijuana, I don't know nothing, I don't know where I'm going. Like, I'm scared. I got people walking up to me telling me to be careful because I'm American. Like, I was scared, but in the end, it all worked out.
And see, I probably need to be scared sometimes, because if I ever told you the story about when I slept outside in the airport in Africa, I slept outside the airport in Africa on a bench.
This is the end of us the trip show. What?
I slept on a bench, and I talked my friend into sleeping on the bench with me. But we ended up last minute finding a hotel. I don't even have enough time to share this story tonight. But I slept outside. And the only reason why we went and got a hotel is because the mosquitoes kept biting us. It wasn't because maybe that wasn't a good decision. It's
How
nighttime.
did y'all end up in that situation?
Girl. Missed flight. And girl. And let me tell you, the only reason why we even made one of our flights there was because this man was being so mean to us. He was like, y'all missed your flight yesterday. Like, he was fussing at us. The only reason why we made our flight out is because the airport was so small. Like, this probably should have been scary. He basically, like, called the pilot or something and walked us down, basically down to the, like, airport. And we walked up to the plane. Like, they walked us outside and was like, come here, and let us on the plane because it was a little small plane. But we slept outside, and my friend let me convince her that was a good idea. But we'll say that story for next week.
I just want to know before we end, are y'all still friends?
I love her.
Because I would have broke up with you at that point.
No, like, I'm a real good problem solver. Like, if we ever get into some shit with travel, I'm a real good problem solver. But sometimes we be having problems.
You are, because I'm going to tell you guys, when the whole situation happened with us, I got a text message that my flight had been canceled. And I grabbed my little beach bag and I ran. I don't know where I was going, but I ran, okay? And Tania was just finally getting out her room to come out to the pool. And I'm running. She's like, where you going? I was like, my flight got canceled. I'm going home tonight. And I'm running because the storm was coming, right? And they had already started canceling flights like 2 days before. And so I'm running because I'm like, Jennifer saw me running too. So I'm running because I'm like, I'm going home tonight. Tania going to text me. It was nice meeting you. So anyway, I realized I was not going home. What did you say?
Still went to the pool.
She still went to the pool. So within 10 minutes, I have booked the flights, ran to my room, booked the flight, packed all my stuff, and jumped in a car to get to the airport. On my way to the airport, I find out that flight I had just booked has been canceled. So now I'm crying hysterically because I think that I'm going to be a victim of Hurricane Fiona and I'm going to die in DR. And so Tania was probably having drinking. I needed a drink. The man brought a bottle of champagne to my bedroom. And Tania texted me and said, after you finish crying, meet me at the pool so we can discuss your options. And I was like, how are you so calm? Because your flight is canceled too. But little did I know, Tania is the queen of not having no flight, okay? Because in these few months that we've been friends, she done missed 27 flights.
Yeah.
And it's all been her fault.
It has. I've been so mad at myself. But like, I was like, okay, everybody's panicking. It's fine. We're going to have a hurricane party. I'm going to get everybody real drunk. I didn't realize that was going to be the resort plan too. So clearly it was a good one. And we had a fun hurricane party, y'all. That hurricane party was super fun. But I can problem solve us through some shit. I definitely can. But it's all part of the adventure.
You are absolutely correct. It's all a part of the adventure. And I'm telling you, these are the stories we're going to have in the nursing home. We're going to be the fun aunties in the nursing home, okay?
And the best part is that every time we travel, it's always a story. Like, we don't know how to just go places and just nothing happen. Like, so we still getting to know y'all, and we don't know how much we like y'all. But eventually, when we start getting comfortable and start sharing stories, we always got some stuff going on. Always. It's always something. Sometimes it's our fault. Sometimes it's other people's fault. But there's always something going on. So make sure that y'all join us for another episode of Sips and Trips. We'll be back. When's the next one?
2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. We'll be back Wednesdays at 8 p.m.
Bye.